So based on what we've seen so far, give me a team that you think has done a good job of taking care of its offseason business and reaching its objectives.
Well, I'm going to keep pounding the table for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Mike. The defending Super Bowl champions have gotten it done. If you look back, let's go back in history, Mike. 2002, they won the Super Bowl, right? They were horrible the next year, 7-9 the next year, and they didn't win another postseason game until when? Until this year. They were horrible. That team fell apart. Now, their defensive pieces were a little bit older, and that's what carried them. And Brad Johnson was at quarterback. It's not like they had that franchise quarterback to take them back to the Super Bowl. But this team has been kept together, and I think they've done a great job. And they have a great chance now to repeat with what they've done this offseason. I never thought they would be able to keep all these guys. To be able to franchise Chris Godwin, to extend Tom Brady, to re-sign Levante David, Shaq Barrett, Gronk, Ryan Suckup. They're close on getting Sue back. They extended Donovan Smith today. We didn't even talk about him. He gets 2 years and $31.8 million. His contract now runs through 2023, and guess what? It freed up $10 million in cap space for this year. They still need to address a couple things. You know, they may or may not get AB and Fournette back. I think they're fine even if they don't get those guys back. But they do need to address backup quarterback, and whether that's in the draft or with one of these veterans or however they do it, they do need to address that, Mike. But they've done a terrific job this offseason with getting these guys back and give them a second chance to repeat.
How dare you speak ill, or at least imply ill, of Blaine Gabbert, the backup quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who now has a Super Bowl ring, or eventually will have a Super Bowl ring. Take that, Fran Tarkenton, Dan Marino, and Dan Fouts. Blaine Gabbert got what you don't have. That's one of the things it's just amazing to me how many guys out there have Super Bowl rings when there are so many great players who deserve them so much more. No offense to Blaine Gabbert. He knows. We know. We all know. I agree with everything you said about the Buccaneers. They have called their shot. They have kept their guys. It's down to Leonard Fournette and Antonio Brown. They have systematically found ways to keep their players, creating cap space, going all in for a second straight year. You know, last year, when they signed Antonio Brown during the season, an executive with another team said to me, I don't understand what the Buccaneers are doing. They are so short-sighted. They are building nothing. They're going to regret this in a few years. Well, they got a new Super Bowl trophy to help them deal with whatever disappointment they may have when Tom Brady's gone in 2024 or 2025, and they may end up with two. So sometimes it's good to go all in on a one-shot deal if you get a Super Bowl, and now they found a way to extend that to 2 years, and they could get two in a row by the time it's all said and done. Washington could be the two-time back-to-back champion of the NFC East. I like what they've done. It's very quiet. It's very systematic, bringing in a guy like William Jackson III at corner, Curtis Samuel at receiver, Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback, under-the-radar team that just is going about taking care of what it needs to do, quietly trusting that the team will continue to grow, the development of Chase Young, Montez Sweat, some young players who have real potential. Terry McLaurin, one of the best receivers in the game already. Antonio Gibson was a great running back last year as a rookie in Washington. And I like that they didn't rush into anything. They didn't overpay anyone. They're just checking their boxes, taking their time, checking their boxes. Get a player we need here, get a player we need there, get a player we need there. And the next thing you know, they're better than they were in 2020 when they went 7-9. All things considered, this is a team that we can look at right now and say they are better than the team that last played in the wild card round of the postseason.
I'm right there with you, Mike. They would have been my number 2 pick in the NFC with what they've done. They didn't find the franchise quarterback that they wanted. They tried to get in on Matthew Stafford. They didn't get him. So they have the bridge quarterback, right? And we know what Ron Rivera thinks of Kyle Allen and what he thinks of Taylor Heineke after what he did in the postseason against the Bucs. But just all the moves they quietly made. I thought Curtis Samuel was one of the best bargains in free agency with what he can do in the run game and as a receiver. William Jackson, as you said, they re-signed Dustin Hopkins. And by the way, they franchise tagged Brandon Sharif, who's one of the best guards in football. So this is a team, I think, again, just what I said when we were talking about Dan Snyder. I just think they're building, Mike. I think they're building towards something special here. They've got to find that franchise quarterback. Maybe they do it in the draft, but I don't think they're pressured to do it in the draft because of what they have at quarterback. And Ron Rivera seems to like all three of these guys right now.
And I'm glad you mentioned Brandon Scherf because it had been bothering me. I knew I was missing a franchise tag guy for the second time who has yet to do a long-term deal. Dak Prescott, Justin Simmons, Leonard Williams of the Cowboys, Broncos, Giants, respectively, all took second tags, turned them into long-term deals. Scherf hasn't done that yet because, look, if you don't do it, the guy's going to be unrestricted next year. You're not going to tag him a third straight time because for non-quarterbacks, it's quarterback money or a 44% raise over your cap number in your second year, which is prohibitive for any position, including quarterback. But for other positions, it's just not going to work. So they need to get that worked out with Scherf as well. That's more work they need to do, but we otherwise like what they have done so far. Give me another team in the NFC, Charean, where you like what they've managed to take care of so far in the offseason.
Well, I like the Rams, and I like it for one simple fact. Okay, I'm not convinced, and I know you guys are more than I am, that they upgraded a whole lot at quarterback. I get it. But they were convinced that Jared Goff wasn't going to get it done for them, right? So they moved on, and they were able to find a team to take that contract and start over again with Matthew Stafford at the most important position in the game. So I like that they weren't just going to stand pat and go, hey, this is a guy that got us to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Let's just keep going with Jared Goff. They had realized he's not going to take that next step for us. Let's move on. They did that, and I thought that was a really good move for them. Re-signing Leonard Floyd, to me, was huge. Now, I'm glad they kept Darius Williams. I think he's important to them. We've talked a lot about giving him the first-round tag. I don't think that was a good idea. I think they could have gotten by with the second-round tag, but they did it, and they assured that they were going to keep him. Nobody's going to give up a first-round draft pick for Darius Williams, so he's going to be on their roster this year. So I like some of the moves this Rams team has made, especially considering what they did last year with the number one overall defense. They still have the best player in football in Aaron Donald, and we feel like they've upgraded a little bit on the offensive side with the quarterback.
And I respect their ability to unload the Jared Goff contract in a way that was not nearly as conspicuous as it would have been.
Yeah.
It's accepted by some in league circles that it was a 1 and a 3 for Matthew Stafford and a first-round pick to take Goff's deal. And look, the average fan is not going to understand that. Maybe even the average Stan Kroenke isn't going to understand that. And I really do think at some level, the folks who run that football operation, Les Snead, Sean McVay, Kevin Demoff to some extent, they need to be sure that Stan Kroenke's okay with some very bad decisions they have made as it relates to who should get paid and who shouldn't get paid. They dragged their feet with Aaron Donald. They gave money to Todd Gurley and to Jared Goff way too early. They traded for Jalen Ramsey without getting a new contract on the way through the door, giving him all the leverage in the eventual negotiations on his second deal. They have made some bad business moves. There's no denying that. And why do you hate the Rams? Yeah. I don't hate the Rams. I love truth. And the truth is this team has somehow managed to be highly functional on the field, so functional on the field that we haven't really noticed the dysfunction when it comes to who they pay and who they don't pay and when they pay and when they shouldn't pay and go ahead and pay anyway. Arizona Cardinals are a team that I like what they've done. They're not content to be 8-8 or possibly worse this year, possibly fourth place in the division if the 49ers are less injured, if the Seahawks are less dysfunctional, and if the Rams continue to upgrade the way that we think they have. First, you go get J.J. Watt. Then you get Rodney Hudson in a trade with the Raiders. You bring in A.J. Green, a move that surprised a lot of people. I like what they're doing. I like how they're going about business. Kept Marcus Golden, let Hassan Reddick walk away. There's a question as to whether or not he was a flash in the pan last year. He obviously thinks he wasn't. I just think that this is a team that is at least trying. And it didn't feel like desperation. it feels like a conscious, deliberate effort to address areas of need and to try to improve the team. So I got no problem with that approach, even though, yeah, did they give J.J. Watt more than I think they should have? Yes. Is A.J. Green a calculated risk? Absolutely. But I like the fact that they know they're in the toughest division in football and they're not going to stand pat with what they have.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mike, and they'd be in my top 4 as well. I think they've had a really good offseason. I think J.J. Watt and A.J. Green will bring that veteran presence to both sides of the ball. I think that helps. I probably would have preferred Larry Fitzgerald over A.J. Green, but that's just me. A.J. Green can at least provide leadership, if nothing else. He's your third receiver, maybe your fourth receiver on this team. So, yeah, I like what they've done. I think they're going to be competitive in that division this year.
I'd be stunned if the Cardinals don't actually know that Larry Fitzgerald has decided not to play for them this year. Everyone's taking the high road. They wouldn't have signed A.J. Green if they thought he was coming back. I really do think he's waiting to see whether or not he climbs on board with the Super Bowl contender.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.